All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual who is set to compete at Unified MMA 50, which goes down on March the 31st. And it's a very intriguing main event for the Super Lightweight Championship as Shane Campbell defends that title against Darrell Horcher. And great getting to have Shane on the show yet again. How's everything going, man? You having a good day so far?
Yeah, I am. Thanks. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, no problem, man. What have you been getting up to today? I imagine a lot of, prep going into a fight like this, but like specifically today, what have you been getting up to so far?
Yeah, exactly. A little yoga in the morning. I'm gonna go for a massage a little bit later, and then protein tonight with some sparring.
Yeah, and it seems like you're quite excited about this. Like you had the post saying they found me a guy and everything, and you thanked Sonny and Unified for getting another UFC vet going. Like, it seemed like you were excited when the bout offer came your way, but what were the...
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that whenever they find a guy for me, that's super exciting, because most of the Canadians keep saying no, so the next step, I mean, it's better for me to be fighting UFC vets anyway. I'm not going to get back to the UFC by beating just some regional guys.
Yeah, for sure, and you've had quite an impressive win streak so far, and I mean, yeah, just another UFC vet, and it seems like you're, really looking to, keep knocking on that door, but it is sort of a curious thing. It's like, I mean, you've had some great, impressive performances so far. It's like, you would think that would kind of like transpire, because I feel like a lot of people see you as one of the better fighters in Canada, but it seems like recently Dana was intimating that they might be coming back.
Every single person I talk to, they're asking me why I'm not in the UFC right now, and even other UFC fighters, they're like, Jesus, like, we want to see you in there. And it will come. I've had my own little fair share of injuries, so even if I were to get the step up here, in the last little while, I may not have been able to jump at it based on some injuries. I mean, I'm crushing the regional circuit, but that step up to the UFC is a massive step, and unless my body and mental state is like very good for it, I almost don't want to risk kind of wasting another opportunity.
Well, it's interesting. So in a way, it's almost kind of, worked out, because like I'm saying, it seems like a lot of people's perception is like, oh, we got to, get him into the UFC, but you're talking about like wanting to get the body right and, things of that nature. So has it ultimately almost panned out in a favorable way? Because it seems like your body is, something you've rehabbed and done a great job of like maintaining and stuff like that. So has it pseudo kind of worked out almost, or?
Well, I'd like to see, I mean, the March 31st will kind of tell a lot, right? So...
Yeah, and a great fight that I definitely, have a few questions about, but I did also want to briefly touch on the, the last, cancellation there, because it seemed like you were looking to like resume some kickboxing action in January, and it seemed like you were, excited at the notion of, getting to collect yet another title. Like, what were your thoughts with how, that whole thing played out? It seemed like you were excited to get to fight on the birthday, and
I'm really unfortunate about that, and kind of working some stuff out with Fight Night still about that, and it's been... Yeah, that one really broke my heart that it didn't go through. I hadn't fought kickboxing in so long, so that opportunity was just something that really, really excited me.
Yeah, and I saw it was going to be the second time in your career you'd get to fight on your birthday, so it seemed like that was of a certain level of importance, or it could have been a cool thing.
Absolutely. It was a really interesting situation. Me and my girlfriend would have been both fighting on my birthday, and I mean, just on your birthday is kind of, that's the present in itself, right? And then for us both to have that opportunity, it was going to be we had a lot of really awesome things planned.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully something in the stand-up arts can pan out in the near future for you, just so you can, get out there and showcase that part of the game. But I also, did want to touch on for sure. I wanted to also touch on the, last one there, because that seemed like a good one for you in the sense of getting the rear naked choke in the championship rounds there and getting that, super lightweight championship, the win over Darren Smith Jr. Like, what were the main takeaways from that one? Like, that seemed like a pretty comprehensive performance from my vantage point.
There was a certain sequence there with the takedown that I kind of, the week of the fight, I decided, hey, I want to do this, and then kind of went over in the change room with the crew in there a couple times, and then when within the fight, I executed it just textbook perfect. So actually 2 or 3 times I did it just perfect. So that was like, for me, one of like the most satisfying things as a takeaways. There's been a couple times in my career where I said, okay, I want to do this move, and then in the fight I did it just, perfectly. And after that, now it's kind of added to my repertoire, right? My toolbox. So those are the things that kind of really excite me in the fight, and for this one was a big takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand why that all would be exciting, but it also seemed like you enjoyed getting back to competing in Ontario and like the ties you have there and everything. So how was, that kind of portion of it, just competing in Ontario again?
Well, it was pretty awesome. I mean, I've been spending parts of my last couple camps there in Ontario, so I'm from there. I know a lot of people and family that are there, and it's fun. For me, it doesn't matter what venue or if any of my family is there in person watching or not. When I get in the cage, it's all business. But it was, it's fun to be at my hometown.
Yeah, and I mean, so many great gyms to get in work at in Ontario. Like, I mean, it seems like a lot of the gyms like BTC and Niagara Top Team and Aegis, I mean, I could really go on. It seems like it's of great benefit to everybody and a great, like, collaborative framework. I would think that you would, really enjoy that and appreciate that from your vantage point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my gym, like Crew In's House of Champions, we have 3 UFC guys. So spending time there alone is pretty solid. I mean, 4 if you count me as one, too. The fact that I was there, right? So Crew In's House of Champions is a pretty amazing place to be training in Ontario right now.
Yeah, for sure, and illustrates my point, too. Like, yet another great gym that we can add into the conversation. I guess I'm curious, like, have you, been working, like, predominantly in Ontario before this one? Like, I know you've worked at like Shaved Bears MMA when you're like in the Alberta area. Like,
yeah, I live in Edmonton here, so Shaved Bears. But I mean, I'm at there, the House of Champions, the Wolf House, and Complete Martial Arts. So, every gym. There's a lot of different gyms that have their little special, additions to my artwork. So. I'm not exclusive at one gym. Not enough time in the day with all the amazing people in this sport to kind of spend time with.
Yeah, and I know you've also cross-trained in the past in Vegas and had some, great lessons imparted from there. So, yeah, for sure. Good to always learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. And, yeah, I mean, this is a great opponent. He was, someone I was talking to the other day, and he seems obviously, very aware of what you bring to the table, and it wasn't anything so much with you, but it almost seemed like he had a bit of a, chip on his shoulder with the perception of like maybe the promotion seeing him as like this guy they're bringing in to, take an L, as it were, like lose to the, quote unquote hometown guy. Like, what are your thoughts on all of that? Like, I mean, you talked about like a lot of times how you're like the away player. Like, I mean, does that embolden anything in you? It doesn't seem like so much on your end, but like, I guess, what do you think about all that?
I mean, I don't know. In reality, that is just the way it is. Like a hometown promotion, when they bring someone in, they're not bringing someone in to kind of, hope that they win. But I mean, we're trying to find the best competition. We asked the promotion asked many different people, and a lot of people said no to me. So the fact that Horcher, did say yes, it doesn't mean that we're just trying to fucking, the promotion wants him to come in for a lose. Like, they want to bring someone in that will actually fight me. So if you say yes, it's like, that's up to you. You can have a chip on your shoulder through your past career. It is what it is. But you know what I mean? If the world is against that dude, the world is against him no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's this promotion, his family, or fucking whatever else. You know what I mean? If he's got a chip on his shoulder, that's his problem.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious because it wasn't like anything with you. It just seemed like he was like, I don't know. It was an interesting thing. Like, he was kind of like frustrated by the.
Like, he's got a few losses. The end of his career, maybe he took some head trauma. Like, life's not always the best. I get it. You know what I mean? But it's your own mindset and how you put it in on a daily basis. That's what's going to be your outlook on life. So.
Yeah, and you seem to like really focus on like lifestyle and mindset a lot. Like, I mean, I've always kind of known you to focus on that, but certainly so in recent years. Like, how much does that, I guess, just benefit your overall, quality of life, like being so focused?
Exactly right. I could maybe make tens of thousands more, but be absolutely miserable. And how do you weigh those odds?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all about your, personal enjoyment, self-actualization, that sort of thing. But I mean, we've been talking about Darrell Horcher a little bit. I guess I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are on, I guess, the quote-unquote, like, resume and maybe some of his better, stylistic attributes. And
I never looked at his stuff. I don't know, I had to first look at him, like, when the fight was offered to me, but I don't know anything about the kid. I really don't care.
yeah, that's fair.
I go, like every fight, I go in there and I do what I do, and if he, thinks he can try to stop me or, change the course of what I go in there to intend to do, then good luck on him, but, I don't see that happening.
And I'm kind of wondering, like, how active you're looking to be this year. Like, when we were talking last, I sort of posed a similar question, and it seemed like you were almost like looking at it through the lens of like, oh, I'm just happy to be healthy and, back to competing. Like, do you have a certain, I guess, like, strength of schedule you'd like to have? Like, it seems like your goal is to kind of...
It is a little bit tough being the champion of a couple promotions. Like, I also cannot just jump around, right? So I have some loyalty obligations. I can't, you know what I mean? I can't be the champion of somewhere and just go everywhere else and do whatever I want to, right? So there's some constraints here I gotta abide by, but Unified is putting on massive, so many shows and across Canada now, so opportunities are there. It's just play it by ear. You can't really plan too far ahead in this industry. I mean, I did have 3 fights arranged in less than 3 months, and that was amazing. I was super excited for that. Not too many, other than Loopy in the UFC, which, at the greatest stage, too. She's been crushing it with a lot of fights in a short period of time, and I got a lot of respect for that. I really enjoyed that. So I was excited to do it myself and bounce between, MMA to a kickboxing and back to an MMA. I was super excited about that, but, not everything in this life turns out the way it was planned.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully something like that could materialize for you in the future. Like, it seems like, I mean, as much as you've been doing great stuff in MMA and have that loyalty to Unified, like, it is cool that there's that opportunity to fight in other disciplines and other promotions, especially with, like, your wealth of, like, Muay Thai and kickboxing experience.
Well, I mean, that's one reason why Unified is the by far the most premier promotion in Canada, and has been for a while now. It's one of the only promotions that are putting on, the top quality production, and they don't hold their fighters down. Many of their fighters have gone off to the UFC because the Unified has even let them, take a fight somewhere else if they were a little inactive or whatever else, or an opportunity came up. Unified has been very good with not holding a lot of people down. I've seen some other promotions, even here in Canada, that, they got a fighter into a contract, locked him in, gave him 1 or 2 fights a year, and that was so detrimental to their career. But I've seen Unified be very good and reasonable to work with. Like, all the new fighters, they, give them opportunities, and they're willing to talk. Like, Sonny will negotiate if you have something to bring to the table. He's willing to talk and negotiate. It's not just a hard contract. You're our peasant and that's it. Unified is a very good company to be a part of.
Yeah, well, I mean, you articulated it well. Like, it could also be that byproduct of, how things were done previously not being very effective or beneficial. And it seems like there is that certain culture that's at the very least developing now, where it's like there genuinely is that, like, free agency. Like, even a company like, I guess, BKFC allowing people to, do bare knuckle, but also it's like, hey, if you want to fight in MMA or gloved boxing, like, you can do that in other sports.
Yeah, I mean, we all have to live, and I mean, even making, tens of thousands of dollars, but then you have to pay, like, 30-40% in taxes, and you have management fees and gym fees and, the rehab fees, and then, when it comes to actual money left, it's, after like a $40,000, $50,000 paycheck, over 3 months, and, 50% of that goes to all these extra fees. The money is not what it looks like up front.
Yeah, no, I mean, well said. That's definitely the reality of being a fighter. A lot of different, costs associated with all of that. So, yeah. No, good to hear you have, like, those different options, though, and everything. But I appreciate you making time to talk. As always, man, it's always a pleasure, but I do want to be mindful of the rest of your schedule too. So is there any like parting final thought you might want to add as we're kind of wrapping up here?
Yeah, just a huge thanks to Apothic Naturals and Wellness. They get me in for the hyperbaric chamber for part of my rehab, and you know, there's many studies coming out that the hyperbaric chambers actually extend your telomeres, which is one way of kind of regaining extra life, if you will, right? Your telomeres are a direct indication of the degeneration of your cells, your DNA, and to extend them is one way of, well, extending that life. So I follow a lot of, you know, university studies and different research programs for that. And in the last, I think it was 4 years ago, is when Israel's university there did the big study on these telomeres, and that was a big breakthrough. So thank you to Apothic Naturals and Wellness for offering those chambers. And Pacifica, another one of my sponsors, Kinko's Tires, all the gyms I go to, all the people that kick my ass, thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fight at Unified MMA 50, and definitely excited for this super lightweight title fight on March 31st. And thanks as always again to reiterate for making time to come on the show, man. You have a good rest of your day, and looking forward to checking out the fight when it goes down.
Awesome. Thank you so much.